Welcome to Unit 1 of Introduction to Philosophy, 1301. I'm looking forward to having you with me in this course. I hope you'll enjoy this introductory study to philosophy. We need to begin our discussion as far as the course is concerned with some of the requirements, and the first of those, of course, is the textbook. Let me just draw your attention to the 8th edition. The course is designed around the 8th edition. It is possible to use another edition, but this edition should be readily available in second-hand bookstores, or you should be able to rent it, but you need to make sure you have a copy very quickly. So it's very important to have the textbook, and keeping up with the reading is going to be important, as you'll see later on when I draw some other matters to your attention. Also, you need to go online and get a copy of the syllabus. It's a long syllabus. Being an online course, the syllabus is quite detailed, so please make sure you get a copy of that. And also make sure you're familiar with the operation of D2L. That's our learning platform at Lone Star. It's called Desire to Learn. We say D2L. So important for you to get those sort of things going straight away so that you can keep up. Today, in this particular video, we're going to have a look at some of the distinctives of an online course, which I think are very important for you to take account of. Look at some initial comments about the course requirements. You really need to look at the syllabus for that. Basically introduce philosophy to you with some initial terms and get you started. So that's where we're going. You can see this for yourself, and you can download the PowerPoint notes and check that over for yourself. But I'm going to begin by talking about some of the great things about an online course. There are a lot of great things about it. You can proceed with your classwork and your assignments anywhere. You can do it any time. You can be sitting in your pajamas at home in front of your computer doing your classwork. You can be sitting in a restaurant on the other side of the world. I've dealt with courses online, be it in Australia or the UK, and have easy access. You can do anywhere in the world. You can arrange the classwork to fit your schedule, and you can travel. A lot of great things you can do. It's convenient and it's wonderful. However, and this is very significant, an online course is much more demanding on you, and I plead with you to understand this. First and foremost, it's going to be demanding because you have to be organised. And secondly, you have to be consistent in your work. And thirdly, you need to read all the materials carefully, particularly class instructions, syllabi requirements. You don't have the same access to the teacher. Now, we'll talk about access to the teacher and getting in contact with me shortly. But it's important, you need to be careful. And last of all, don't get behind. Very important. It's demanding to be organised, it's demanding that you work consistently, you have to work carefully, and you mustn't get behind. A warning about cell phones. I have a cell phone here, an Apple, an iPhone. I can do all kinds of things on it, it's wonderful. But I can even go online, and I can even participate in a webcam. This is workable with a webcam. WebEx Classroom, because it's a video, you can see and speak. However, having said that, it is very hard to read thoroughly and carefully on a device this size. Your reading comprehension level tends to drop. It's not that you're a poor student, it's just that you don't have enough context. And so I just encourage you to work on a larger screen, and maybe a larger iPad or something else, but make sure that you understand limitations. And when you're attending a WebEx in this class, you need to have some form of equipment, an iPad or a computer, which has a built-in camera, so you can participate. If you don't have that, you can't really participate, and what's more, you won't get credit. So again, the course is conducted over the internet. Face-to-face discussions are limited to our WebEx classes. There are 4 of them in this class. You'll be involved with 2. And all the additional materials that will be found on D2L. You need to make your way through those things. I do want to remind you that every person's contribution is essential. Therefore, Everyone participating in the forums, everyone participating in the WebExes is important. It turns a rather sterile arrangement online into a more personal one because you're seeing people's personal contributions, and it will help you. And it's amazing what you'll learn from your colleagues. How to contact me. Now, this is very important. With effect from the first week of the class, all communication to me needs to come through your email in D2L. You have a D2L email, use it. As the semester goes on, there are loads and loads of material come into my college inbox, my standard college inbox, and much of it ends up being trashed because there's so much junk comes in. And while we have a wonderful vetting system, there's a real possibility of communications. I can't guarantee that I will get your email if you send it outside the D2L system. So use the D2L email. You can text me, or you can chat via WebEx. And so there's a getting to know you discussion at the end of this presentation today, so you can have a look at that and we'll talk about that also. But on that same score, what can we expect of you? And what can you expect of me? Let's start with you. I expect you'll be in contact. I expect you'll be consistent. I expect that you'll ask questions, particularly during the WebExes. You need to be diligent in working through the units of the class. Now, here's an important warning for you. I've structured this class so that you can't move on to the next unit until you've completed the one before. In other words, I've locked you out until you complete that unit. It's important to do everything to help you to work systematically. Students who sort of go in and pick up stuff, you always be behind. You must stay up and you must work consistently. You need to participate in all the tests and all the group discussions. Don't drop a group discussion, don't drop a test. They make things hard for you to make up those grades. And though there is some possibility of extra credit, you can look to the syllabus for that. It's important that you realise that you really can't make up for lost work. So that's what I expect of you. What can you expect of me? Well, provide you with relevant and scholarly material. That's what I'm doing in the videos and the materials. I respond in a timely manner for you. Usually I can respond within 24 hours. Provide you feedback on your progress. Be available via the course discussions and emails and phone when needed. And I can be available to chat with you through WebEx if necessary. That's hard to organise, and there are times when we can possibly organise. You'll need to arrange that with me. Generally speaking, I try to keep Tuesdays available for that, possibly Thursdays. But you need to make a booking because I'm going to take one person at a time on WebEx, like that. Well, let's turn our attention now to the course itself. Some information about me, and there you'll see my D2L. And I'm going to highlight it for you so that you can see it. There it is there. That's my D2L email address. Please use that one. So I think you'll leave the rest of these materials you can deal with. What you're seeing here is everything in the next couple of slides has been extracted from the syllabus. It's a direct copy from the syllabus. Here you have the grading requirements, 3 tests, 2 class forums, 2 WebEx discussions, and a reflection essay, and 1 final exam. Now, it's important to realise that in one forum you'll make a submission and a response. Let me start again. In one forum you'll make a submission. In the next forum, you'll make a response. And if you're not making a submission in the first forum, you're actually making a response. In other words, and you have 2 forums. In one you'll make a submission, and one you'll do a response. In the WebEx situation, it's a little different. If you've made a forum presentation, you'll make a submission, an oral presentation during the WebEx. If you haven't, you'll be ready to ask questions. And I'll be checking that you're asking appropriate and relevant questions. The reflection essay, we'll come to that in a moment, but again I draw your attention to all the information you have in the syllabus. That's really quite important for you. I've got information on the forums for you. Actually, you're probably better off reading the details in the syllabus. But a significant point of distinction for you here is The class will be divided into two sections, Section A and Section B, and within each section there are two groups. I will be assigning you to your section, and I'll be advising you that by the end of the first week of the term. So you'll be then following through the course in terms of whether you're a Section A or a Section B and which group you're in. So have a look through, see what the significance of that is in terms of both the forums and in terms of the WebExes. So I'll leave you with that. Information on the essay, you'll get to a critical reflective essay on one of the philosophers in this class. We'll do a little more presentation of that during the WebExes. I will give you more details about the essay writing, where you can also ask questions and interact with me. There'll be a time of discussion around the essays, although I think most of the materials I think you'll find helpful for you there. I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is weakening. So please read over the syllabus. Email me any questions you have. If you ask a question that's of a general nature, I will probably answer that on the announcement page in D2L. That's the very front page in the announcement section. I also send out a series of emails. They're usually numbered. The first email has been already sent out. Note the first one is email number 1, then 1A, because students change log into the course and log out of the course, and I try to send that out early, so it's basically a repetition. Let's turn our attention now to the course proper. What I've set out for you are the, if you like, the curriculum plan outcomes that we are supposed to achieve. And part of that you'll see as the number one item is you're able to read a text and analyze it. That's why you'll have original text to read, and they'll be part of our forums and discussions. Understanding key concepts, and we'll move on into that. Critical thinking is an important part. It requires writing and references, and you'll need to be able to write an essay, a philosophical essay, in a correct form. With that in mind, turning to the subject of philosophy itself, we're going to begin our studies with the pre-Socratic philosophers. A little map here gives you some idea of the Greek world at the time of Plato and before Plato. Athens was very much the centre of the Greek world, but you'll see all these little cities both in Italy, to the west of Greece, and in Asia Minor, what we now call Turkey, to the east of Greece proper. These are major city-states that you see. There were many philosophers functioning in those cities and communicating with one another of interesting means, and we'll talk about it in the class. And we'll start off by looking at some of the contributions the pre-Socratics made, moving on then to Plato. Now the point is this, that all the great issues in philosophy that began to be addressed some 2,000 years ago in Athens and in the ancient Greek world, we're still addressing those issues. Not quite exactly the same form, but we're still addressing many of those same issues today. And hence, the contribution that people like Plato and Aristotle made to the study of philosophy is very significant, even today. And you'll see that their contribution continues to be very important. So we're beginning with that. I'm asking you to read chapter 1 of the textbook in this first week, so that you can get a bit of background and understand some of the issues. This interesting role of philosophy, and it's just worth taking a moment to, I know this is a rather boring slide, there's a lot of technical stuff here, but it's really, frankly, important to get this straight. The role of philosophy is to do critical thinking about big questions. And hence, there are many definitions of philosophy. I've given you one here, and the definition of what is philosophy. And just let it flow by you. The study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, the fundamental nature of reality, and the fundamental nature of what exists, especially as we do that in academic discipline. We primarily focus on what in philosophy is sometimes called first order questions. What is a good life? What is justice? What is beautiful? We ask the big questions. And in philosophy, we try to address those questions using the primary tool of philosophy, which is reason, human thinking and reasoning. And hence you'll see that there's a discussion in the textbook, and I was here for you as well, of the relationship between what's called reason on the one hand, mythos on the other. And when we're using reason in this context, we're not talking about strict logic, we're talking about using the mind to think things through over against mythos, which is a Greek word for mythology, I guess. What you hear here is that there are many other forms of knowing things. It could be through the mythology of the Greek gods. It could be through revelation of Scripture. It could be through the Quran. It could be through prophetic visions. It could be through meditation. Those are not the tools of philosophy. In philosophy, the goal is to use reason and reason alone. And hence, when you look at the relationship between philosophy on the one hand and, say, theology, science, and the social sciences on the other, you'll discover that they are different tools, very often addressing the same questions. Philosophy addresses the great big questions. So does theology. So does science. So do some of the social sciences. What is man? What is the nature of man? Is there any purpose to life? Is life meaningless? All of these questions are addressed by these other approaches to learning, the theology, science, and the social sciences. But they use different tools. And so they can come to different conclusions. We will in our next class talk about worldview, but we'll make some more comments about that. But anyway, this gives you an overview of the general approach to what we're doing in philosophy. Now there's some key words. I've introduced one of them to you, reason, serious, critical and reflective thinking. And I've emphasized to you that that doesn't necessarily mean logical in the technical sense. It does include logical in the technical sense, but not exclusively logical in the technical sense. There's some other Greek words that are thrown around. I've given you three of them here, telos, logos, and cosmos. I'll give you some definitions. Telos means directional purpose. Is the world in which we live inherently purposeful? Is it going somewhere? Does it have an order to it? Logos. Is the world rational? Can it be understood? Can we make sense of it? Cosmos. The universe looked at as a well-ordered system. Is the universe a system, or is it a massive chaos? Today, the concept of the world being a cosmos is being challenged by a number of different theories. And we'll come back to those things. But again, we have to begin where this whole discussion began. And lastly, an unusual one, the word sensible substance. It seems to crop up and get people confused. Substance means it's something that exists, a substance. A sensible substance is one which can be known by the senses. We can feel it, touch it, understand it, and we can make some sense of it with the mind. So, some key words for you there. And one last set of distinctions for you. We'll come up against these distinctions in the study of philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, and value theory, to some extent aesthetics. As we look at each philosopher, you'll find that we'll look at each philosopher in terms of their metaphysics, epistemology, and value theory. In metaphysics, the philosopher is asking, what is real in an absolute sense? How real is something? How real is the world we're looking at? Or is it just something I'm perceiving? And if it's something I'm perceiving, how does it connect with what we might otherwise call the real world? Epistemology, how do we know anything for certain? Is there some way in which we can carefully work out what we know for certain? And lastly, how important things are, how valuable they are. Because it's out of value we establish ethics and we establish the principles of justice. So these are three very important branches, and we'll look at them primarily in terms of each philosopher, primarily in terms of metaphysics, epistemology, and value theory. Although our emphasis in the course is primarily upon metaphysics and epistemology, because in our ethics course we focus more on the value theory. So with that in mind, let's go and talk about preparing for our forums. I listed three things here for you. Class forums. Please familiarise yourself with the requirements of those. The WebEx class meetings. Familiarise yourself in terms of the program for the WebExes. You go to section 4 of the syllabus and look at the dates section, the important dates, and understand the relationship between the forums and the WebEx. Understand it goes forum first, WebEx follows. I'd also like you to go to the collaboration section of the learning platform, D2L. That's where you'll find discussions, where you'll find our forums, in other words. I'd like you to participate in a forum there which is entitled Getting to Know You. You know, an online course can be very impersonal. I'd like to make it more personal. I hope through the videos you'll get to know me, and through the WebExes you'll get to know me. I'd like to get to know you. I'd like your colleagues to get to know you. So I'd invite you to post something meaningful about yourself so that you can become a person. Post that under the section under the section Collaboration and Discussions, Getting to Know You. And if you can, also post a photograph of yourself so we know who you are. That'll help when we turn up at our WebExes and we can recognise each other there. That would be very helpful. Now you'll notice that this red slide at the end is what are the key items that you need to know from Weekly Unit 1. This is a slide, or this kind of slide will appear at the end of all the slide presentations, which outlines the important things that you need to have taken from the discussion in the video and in the PowerPoint notes, and be able to understand and interact with. And so I leave those things for you, and I've summarised them for you there. And of course, the Getting to Know You assignment is the Class 1 assignment. Well, thank you for your involvement.